Chosen soul, the step you have taken does not dissolve into the past. It echoes forward. You moved beyond a threshold that most lives orbit without ever touching, and in doing so you stirred currents that usually rest beneath awareness. This is not an accident dressed as chance, nor a simple error brushed aside by time. It is a pulse, a realignment, a moment that calls for your complete presence. What unfolds now is uncommon, and its effects do not wait. This matters because so few ever discover how much force lives inside a decisive move. Across ages, every rupture, every awakening, every leap in understanding emerged when someone abandoned comfort. That law is alive in you now. Your decision has drawn attention, visible and invisible, and the greater order of things is already answering. Everything you have practiced, every quiet choice, every act of bravery gathers at this point. What approaches is not small. Openings, sharp awareness, and buried truths are shifting into place. You will notice connections forming faster than expected, consequences arranging themselves with startling speed. Tension may rise, doubt may whisper, pressure may tighten. Yet these are indicators, not barriers. They reveal where power can be applied, where expansion occurs, how a daring move redraws the shape of your world. What unfolds next is not theory or fantasy. It is grounded, usable, alive. You will learn how to recognize the earliest signals, how to sense structures that operate beyond sight, how to convert fear into energy, how to transform attention into forward motion. These are the same forces quietly mastered by those who lead, innovate, and perform at levels others label impossible. This understanding gives you the ability to move with intention, to act without shrinking, to turn disorder into leverage. If the name chosen truly belongs to you, remain present through the end. Leave a trace, a signal of your own, and strengthen the alignment you have activated. What follows is not ordinary at all. It is an intimate, practical grasp of how existence responds when you step past the boundary. Most are warned never to approach. You have entered a space few even imagine. This crossing is not symbolic or poetic. It is an action that sends a response through layers far deeper than everyday awareness. Throughout human memory, those who altered the course of thought and discovery encountered similar moments. One challenged the sky itself and met resistance from power. Another chased visions too vast for his time to hold. This boundary is the edge between what is accepted and what has yet to be explored, the meeting point of danger and possibility. By moving into this territory, you did not invite punishment. You issued a summons to grow. The resonance of that choice vibrates outward, but it also turns inward, reshaping how you experience yourself. Each decision that presses against established limits rewires the inner landscape. It demands that you face uncertainty, confront fear, and outgrow the versions of yourself that once felt sufficient. Those who study the mind recognize this state as one of accelerated transformation, where adaptation happens quickly because the old maps no longer work. Knowing where you stand on this edge allows you to balance daring with awareness, to see that understanding risk does not weaken action, it intensifies it. This crossing also reveals the weight of responsibility. Movements do not stop where we expect them to. From quiet defiance of convention to discoveries that rewrite reality, the record of humanity shows that stepping beyond thresholds reshapes the future. When you grasp this, the sensation of being noticed by higher forces stops feeling abstract. It becomes a mirror, reflecting your capacity, your intent, the influence you carry. When ancient stories speak of watchful gods or unseen tests, they are pointing toward this awareness, the moment when consciousness recognizes itself as both observed and observing, and realizes that evolution begins the instant the line is crossed. They are quietly pointing to the human ability to turn inward and to shape influence from within. What appears as a sacred gaze is not an external judge, but a symbol of expanded perception. It invites you to witness yourself without masks, without defenses, without the stories you once used to hide. When you learn to read this reflection, patterns begin to surface in how you act, how you choose, and how your presence ripples outward. In lived experience, this heightened attention cultivates responsibility and intentional thought. Those who guide, create, and envision often feel a similar pressure of being seen, whether through the eyes of mentors, rivals, or their own inner witness. Accepting this sense of being observed sharpens discernment and deepens awareness. It reveals that strength without consciousness can fracture, while strength infused with awareness becomes a force of renewal. Each step you take now carries greater weight. It becomes an opening to refine your method, to anchor your values, to step fully into mastery. This reflection also reveals the principle of resonance. What you emit in energy and intention is answered in proportion. Across time, thinkers and mystics have recognized that when inner truth aligns with outward behavior, harmony emerges within the greater design. Your decisions, daring as they may feel, are not scattered or accidental. They mirror dormant capacities awakening within you. By reading this reflection with care, you gain not only understanding, but usable wisdom for moving forward. Engaging with what lies beyond ordinary comprehension is not about collision or dominance, but about alignment and exchange. At every level of existence, from intimate conversations to global movements, the same underlying dance unfolds. Attunement, patience, and the ability to sense unspoken motives allow you to move in rhythm with powerful currents, to anticipate responses, and to reach outcomes that appear unreachable to others. The mastery lies in honoring both awareness and intention. Just as a skilled mediator senses resistance before it surfaces and prepares flexible paths, you are now learning to move through unseen reactions with foresight and adaptability. Emotional sensitivity becomes essential here. By understanding what moves within you and around you, your actions speak clearly, maintain coherence, and reduce unnecessary friction. What once felt like opposition transforms into a field of influence and refinement rather than struggle. Ultimately, this engagement with vast forces is a living metaphor for inner command. By learning to guide focus, energy, and choice when pressure is high, you develop endurance, vision, and calm authority. Every encounter, whether personal, collective, or environmental, becomes an invitation to sharpen awareness, expand impact, and remain steady amid uncertainty. Raw daring by itself cannot sustain this path. It is conscious daring, informed and deliberate, that reshapes the world in tangible ways. Those who build, disrupt, and transform embody this truth. Their risks leave marks because each movement is guided by perception, learning, and intent. When applied to your own unfolding journey, this form of boldness turns exposure into advantage and ambiguity into skill. This evolution is sustained through continuous response. You act with courage, observe what returns, and refine your approach, shaping not only immediate results but wider patterns. History reflects this rhythm again and again. Controlled leaps redefined flight, while modern visionaries apply measured audacity to alter entire systems. Awareness ensures that risk becomes expansion rather than disorder. Beyond this, shaping reality through decisive movement requires unity between intention and execution. When direction is clear, challenge is anticipated and response is fluid. A powerful harmony forms. Courage paired with clarity allows you to move not only without fear, but with strategy, extending your reach across inner life, work, and society itself. The trials you encounter, uncertainty, resistance, inner tremors, are your most precise instructors. In the language of the psyche, the shadow holds what has been unseen or unclaimed. Meeting it unsettles you, yet it reveals vulnerabilities, blind angles, and reserves of strength waiting to be accessed. Those who approach this terrain with intention often experience rapid inner evolution, refined emotional awareness, and sharper judgment. History carries countless echoes of this truth. Leaders and pioneers who faced doubt or opposition often emerged tempered and resilient. Repeated setbacks shaped figures who later stood with quiet authority. Facing what lurks beneath forces reflection, endurance, and intelligent adaptation, converting discomfort into insight that can be used. Every challenge following a courageous step, becomes a surface reflecting what must be, integrated to grow. Engaging this hidden dimension also heightens perception of the outer world. By noticing recurring patterns in people, environments, and collective movements, you begin to read complex systems others miss. What once appeared threatening transforms into a guide, illuminating forward motion and teaching you to act with discernment, strength, and precision even when pressure feels immense. Every intentional leap you make leaves behind a trace of understanding rarely reached by most. This awareness is quiet, easy to overlook, yet deeply altering. Those who venture first into new territories often describe sudden clarity, unexpected connections, or intuitive knowing. Insight born from stepping where others hesitated. In the same way, your own actions have unlocked perception, enabling you to recognize patterns, outcomes, and openings that remain invisible to the average eye. This knowing you carry now does not live only in the mind. It breathes through experience. What life teaches outside familiar paths leaves marks no book can replicate. Direct encounters with uncertainty carve understanding into you, shaping perception in ways observation alone never could. By stepping into what was not mapped, you have accelerated awareness, sharpened anticipation, and learned to sense outcomes before they surface. The strength of this knowing is revealed only when it is used. It allows you to choose with accuracy, recognize openings before they widen, and move through complexity with grounded assurance. Unlike abstract ideas, lived understanding reshapes instinct, response, and strategy. When you acknowledge the value of what now moves within you, curiosity and courage fuse into applied mastery, and purpose becomes tangible rather than imagined. What you do no longer dissolves into isolated moments. Each action speaks. Behavioral science shows that the stories we tell, even silently, sculpt how reality responds to us. By shaping your inner narrative with intention, you guide meaning, influence direction, and draw attention toward what you seek to build. Speaking your story into existence is less about words and more about directing energy, opportunity, and impact. This narrative also molds identity. Every choice contributes to the image you hold of yourself and the impression others feel. Those who lead, create, and disrupt understand this instinctively. Their story frames their movement, transforming individual steps into collective shifts. When you fully claim your narrative, your boldness gains gravity. It is not only seen, it resonates. In moments of disorder or pressure, this inner coherence becomes an anchor. A clear internal story steadies decision-making, aligning daring moves with a longer arc. By consciously crafting this continuity, you communicate resolve inward and outward, turning the waves of audacity into a directed path toward refinement and fulfillment. True command is not measured solely by movement, but by restraint. There is a quiet intelligence in knowing what to bypass, what to leave untouched, what not to chase. Strategic ignorance is the deliberate refusal to scatter attention where it yields little return. In lived reality, mastery often comes as much from exclusion as from action. Those who endure understand that ignoring noise preserves clarity. By choosing what remains unexplored, you protect energy and sharpen precision. Not every direction deserves pursuit. Not every curiosity needs engagement. Discernment becomes discipline, ensuring that boldness is applied where it carries the most weight. This restraint guards against exhaustion, limits missteps, and intensifies the impact of risk taken with intention. In stepping back from excess, perception sharpens, patterns emerge, cause and effect become visible. This selective focus is both shield and catalyst, allowing courage to operate within wisdom rather than impulse. Risk itself is not a threat. It is unshaped potential. Transformation happens when uncertainty is refined into learning, growth, and influence. Across fields of creation and discovery, progress is born through this process. Failure examined becomes insight. Each deliberate risk holds information waiting to be extracted. Reflection turns exposure into advantage. Action without awareness breeds disorder. Action paired with evaluation produces command. Iteration, adjustment, and persistence reshape the unknown into something usable. Your present trials carry the same charge. Within each, is knowledge that strengthens judgment, resilience, and strategic clarity. Through this refinement, the mind hardens gently, fear loosens its grip, and adaptability becomes instinct. Life turns into a living laboratory. Every daring step becomes an experiment, and uncertainty becomes material rather than menace. What once appeared dangerous evolves into a tool, shaping capability and confidence where most would retreat. By crossing lines and acting with resolve, you have drawn focus toward yourself. Attention gathers naturally where movement occurs. In leadership, creativity, and change, those who decide amid uncertainty become points of convergence. Attention magnifies what is present, strengths and vulnerabilities alike. Learning to guide it determines whether it erodes or elevates. Standing at the center of focus demands awareness and clear expression. When you understand how your actions are received, you can steer perception, influence outcomes, and transform visibility into growth. Social dynamics confirm this truth. Those who remain conscious of their presence shape the field around them, turning observation into leverage. This visibility is not merely exposure, it is responsibility. Heightened focus brings intensified consequence and expanded possibility. When embraced deliberately, it becomes fuel. External attention transforms into insight, motivation, and influence. Your decisions now ripple outward, inspiring motion, altering environments, and converting awareness into lasting effect. When you move decisively, you are not unseen. Systems respond. Patterns shift. Voices beyond immediate sight register the disturbance. Anticipating their response begins with observation. In complex environments, those who lead learn to read signals before reactions fully form. The same principle unfolds here. By noticing repetition, deviation, and subtle change, you gain foresight. Interpretation sharpens this skill. Just as observers of the sky read movement to predict alignment, those attuned to life read behavior, context, and timing. This is not mysticism, but sensitivity to cause and consequence. Acting from this awareness allows you to move before pressure, mounts rather than after it strikes. Vigilance strengthens resilience. Awareness refines timing. What watches does not threaten, it instructs. Each observation deepens the exchange between choice and outcome, allowing uncertainty to be navigated with composure and intent. Every action unfolds within rhythm. Understanding this cadence changes everything. In nature, sequence governs effect. In life, opportunity meets preparation. By sensing cycles within your environment and within yourself, you align effort with moments of maximum resonance. Timing is not chance, it is recognition. History reveals that breakthroughs arrive when readiness meets awareness. Discovery depends on presence as much as preparation. Your own courageous steps will encounter such windows. Recognizing them allows decisive movement without waste. Patience joined with action sustains momentum. Acting too soon disperses force. Waiting with awareness concentrates it. By learning this dialogue with circumstance, you synchronize intention with response. Destiny becomes participatory, something shaped rather than awaited. Boldness carries reward when guided by awareness. Calculated daring opens doors caution leaves closed. Breaking from convention reveals pathways invisible from safety. The gains may appear external, advancement, recognition, opportunity, yet the deeper rewards are internal. Confidence strengthens, perception sharpens, the mind learns to remain clear under pressure. Psychology explains this transformation. Risk heightens focus, stimulates creativity, and rewires tolerance for the unknown. Those who consistently engage challenge with insight develop clarity. One decisive act rarely stands alone. Momentum follows. Energy spreads. Influence expands. Like a spark finding dry air, boldness creates chains of consequence. Understanding this allows you to amplify direction rather than drift with force. Early movement builds confidence and invites further opportunity. Small victories generate credibility and attract alignment. Each response feeds the next. Momentum becomes self-sustaining. With this power comes accountability. Every ripple carries impact. When guided consciously, these waves shape environments rather than unsettle them. Life communicates constantly through subtle signals. Patterns repeat. Coincidences cluster. These are not random, they are responses within complex systems. Awareness turns them into guidance. Those who notice what others dismiss anticipate shifts before they surface. Attention becomes radar. Through it, you sense changes in context, relationship, and inner state. Acting from this sensitivity allows you to move ahead of events rather than behind them, transforming faint signals into decisive advantage and continuing the arc you have already set in motion. When you move with clarity instead of hesitation, something subtle shifts. By learning to read the quiet language of life, you step slightly ahead of what is unfolding, responding with intention rather than reflex. The art lies not only in noticing signs, but in sensing what they mean. The forces shaping your path rarely speak in plain commands. They communicate through rhythm, symbols, timing, and repetition. When thoughtful analysis blends with instinctive knowing, a deeper intelligence awakens. Small signals become meaningful direction. Observation evolves into applied wisdom, and awareness itself turns into an instrument for growth, influence, and refined mastery. Where your focus settles, energy gathers. When you understand how attention, both inward and outward, molds results, acceleration begins. Growth deepens, influence expands, clarity sharpens. Those who lead, create, and perform at the highest levels do not scatter their awareness. They concentrate it, choosing where to place their gaze and where to withdraw it. Presence becomes power. Ordinary effort, guided by conscious focus, transforms into extraordinary effect. Attention amplifies reality. Directed intention strengthens the mind, expands creativity, and clarifies choice. At the same time, attention drawn from others multiplies reach and opportunity. Bold movement attracts notice, and notice attracts momentum. To carry this without losing balance requires discipline, alignment, and awareness of long horizons. Becoming a center of power is both an inner practice and an outer stance. Through reflection, grounding, and intention, you remain steady while influence gathers. When inner focus and outer visibility work together, observation becomes leverage, and focus gives birth to mastery. Opportunity follows visibility, and daring sustains transformation. Those who sense beyond the obvious often receive rewards, unseen by those who stay within. Familiar edges. Perception sharpens. Resilience grows. Influence expands quietly. Engaging complex systems with respect and curiosity reveals patterns that seem mysterious only to the untrained eye. Thinkers, tacticians, and philosophers throughout time have shown that understanding subtle movement, whether psychological, social, or environmental, produces results that appear miraculous from the outside. These benefits are grounded and practical. When you notice how behavior, chance, and consequence interweave, foresight emerges. Decisions gain speed and precision. Those who master observation turn insight into advantage, transforming awareness into strategic clarity. At its deepest level, this awareness leads back to self-command. Seeing beneath the surface strengthens confidence, emotional balance, and adaptability. You move through uncertainty without collapse. You choose without confusion. Hidden understanding reshapes not only outcomes, but the way you meet the world, bringing both quiet authority and inner fulfillment. Fear is not an enemy, it is a messenger. Within the body, fear awakens energy, sharpens focus, and accelerates learning. When you reinterpret it as information rather than obstruction, anxiety converts into motion. Those who excel under pressure understand this instinctively. They do not flee discomfort. They harness it. Fear illuminates what matters. It marks the edges of growth. Instead of avoiding that signal, those who master themselves follow it carefully, letting it guide effort and attention where they matter most. Each challenge becomes a teacher. Capacity expands. Resilience strengthens. When fear is met with action, a powerful loop forms. Movement reduces fear. Progress builds courage. Momentum takes hold. What once restrained becomes a living engine for innovation. Courage and conscious mastery. Change rarely announces itself loudly. It often arrives as a whisper, a coincidence that repeats. a subtle shift in behavior, a small disruption in routine. These are the early signs that something deeper is responding to your movement. Those who shape the future notice these signals before others, recognize their meaning. Awareness of early change allows preparation instead of reaction. Sensitivity to nuance becomes strategic advantage. Recognizing these signs requires patience and presence. When you reflect, notice repetition and remain open to anomalies. Meaning separates itself from noise. What appears insignificant may be the first movement of something vast. Those who listen early are often the first to move wisely. These early signals train foresight and flexibility. You adapt while others wait. Uncertainty becomes guidance. Courage aligns with timing. Action becomes both bold and precise. Being seen can unsettle the nervous system. Observation often triggers doubt, tension, or restraint. Yet awareness of being watched can also refine performance. When attention is acknowledged rather than feared, focus sharpens and responsibility deepens. Those who operate under scrutiny learn to use it as a mirror. Composure replaces reactivity. Precision replaces impulse. By mastering yourself under observation, pressure becomes polish. Leaders and negotiators understand how attention shapes behavior. They remain deliberate, grounded, and aligned even when visibility intensifies. What could expose weakness instead amplifies strength. Calm presence becomes credibility. Observation no longer threatens, it empowers. Much of what shapes reality moves invisibly. Psychological undercurrents, social momentum, environmental cues all influence outcomes without ever announcing themselves. Those who recognize these forces gain an edge. Small shifts in timing, tone, or alignment can produce disproportionate results. This is not manipulation, but awareness applied with care. Influence grows where resistance dissolves. Those who master the unseen move efficiently, achieving impact without unnecessary force. Sensitivity becomes strategy. Awareness becomes leverage. By understanding hidden dynamics, you anticipate reactions, guide outcomes, and recognize opportunity before it fully forms. Bold action, guided by this insight, compounds into long-term influence. Living these principles does not require mysticism. It begins with attention, noticing patterns, observing reactions, reflecting on movement within and around you. Over time, awareness reveals direction. Courage becomes informed rather than reckless. Each step outside comfort strengthens capacity. Small acts accumulate into momentum. Focus sharpens. Fear transforms into fuel. Timing becomes intuitive. You learn when to act and when to wait. Subtle forces become allies rather than mysteries. Growth unfolds naturally when awareness, patience, and daring move together. Life responds to those who engage it consciously. Every decision sends ripples outward. When awareness guides action, those ripples form a coherent path rather than scattered noise. You stop merely responding to circumstances and begin shaping them. Responsibility deepens. Influence expands. Mastery emerges quietly but unmistakably. Living as the chosen one is not a title bestowed, but a posture embodied. It is the willingness to see clearly, act boldly, and remain accountable to your own growth. Each choice becomes a brushstroke in a larger design. Over time, courage, awareness, and intention merge into legacy. Stay present. Stay awake. Let your actions speak with clarity and strength. What you begin now continues forward, shaping not only your path, but the space you leave behind.